I want to ask you a question about that. When I saw, like, I was a little disappointed with Parler, but then I was like, complete free speech in a private area. Okay. My thought was around rules. Like, even private institutions do have rules. And I'm like, have both sides we've gotten too hung up on the rules, and then we veer over to no rules, and we can't understand that there's a healthy balance? Because this is just my thought, and let's work through this, or you push back.
Okay.
Because I think if you have just complete free speech, you might get like a 4chan or an 8chan, or just the dredges of society.
What's wrong with 4chan, man?
I actually have never been on it.
Beautiful chaos. I've never been on it.
I'm going on it,
but I sort of love it. I love the anarchy of it.
I was talking, actually, one of my friends, we'll go down a little tangent. He's actually a theology professor at a very Catholic college. And we were talking about 4chan. He's like, 4chan's wild. He's like, these are the people that like will just share pornography, but then we'll all come together to literally find like a missing child. Like, they will just like suddenly start sharing stuff, and they'll locate like someone that has been abducted. So
Internet vigilantism is one of my favorite things. I guess it's kind of dangerous, but I sort of love it.
Yeah. But I was wondering, like, all right, so Parler isn't truly free speech as in everything goes.
Right.
They've set some standards that probably favor conservatives or right-leaning people, whatever. But I was like, is that bad necessarily? And then are we now falsely criticizing like Facebook? Like, maybe Facebook's gone too far because they're unfairly applying their rules biasly.
It has to do with like the rule of law versus the rule of men, right? It's okay to have some rules, and I don't fault Parler for having some rules, but you have to be very clear about what the rules are, and they have to be objective. And when you get into a position where the rules are vague and you have people kind of deciding when to enforce them and when not to enforce them, that's a problem, because then you get bias and you get discrimination, and people can be you shut down people you don't like and you keep people you do like. I mean, the rules should be the same for everybody. Everybody should be under the same standard. And I feel like all these sites, they have like very general, vague rules about like no obscenity, or what's obscenity?
Yeah, it leaves it open for the interpretation of the monitor, or whoever that might be.
Right. Or when they say like all these fact checking things on Facebook and Twitter now, they're like no false information. Well, who's to say what's false? Someone's got to make that call, and people are going to disagree on what's true and what's false, and can be arbitrarily applied to different people. And so you end up with these. When someone like Facebook is overwhelmingly staffed by leftists, they're going to punish the conservatives. And someone like Parler that's staffed by conservatives, they're going to punish the progressives. And I think the rules just need to be very objective and spelled out. And so it's as little ambiguity and room for wiggle room as possible, so that people know, oh, I violated the rule. It says so right there. Yeah. I can't blame them for shutting me down. But if the rules are very vague, it makes it just so hard to have a fair system.
There's the Hayek quote, which Justin Amash has on his Twitter profile. That's why I just pulled it up. Laws must be general, equal, and certain.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I think Adam Smith in his Wealth of Nations hit on, in a variety of ways, that in a free society, laws should be few and very clear. Yeah. Everyone should know what they are. There shouldn't be, a ton of laws where I have no way of knowing if I'm breaking a law at any point. So it should be few and very easily understandable.
It's such a problem with the legal and regulatory code in the United States, because you have no way of knowing all the laws. There's too many to count. They've actually tried to count the number of regulations. They gave up. They can't do it. So you have no way of knowing if you're breaking a law. And then the police don't enforce every law because there's no way they possibly could. So that means they get to decide, and the courts as well, the district attorneys, they get to decide, do we want to enforce this law right now or not? And that just leaves so much room for abuse of power. And yeah, if you
show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
Exactly. It's the 3 felonies a day thing, right? That book was written where it shows that most people break 3 felonies a day without even knowing it, because you basically can't use the internet without breaking intellectual property law. It's pretty much impossible. So people can always come after you for something if they want to. And that's really dangerous.